The New Orleans Saints may be interested in a big-name wide receiver who just became available in free agency, and I'm talking about the former Rams wide receiver, the 2021 Offensive Player of the Year, and Super Bowl MVP, Cooper Kupp. But he may not be the only wide receiver that the Saints have been interested in during the offseason. And there's been some rumors that the team may be interested in a reunion with a familiar face. Got some exciting talking points today about the Saints in the wide receiver position. Ian Rappaport listed the Saints as a possible team interested in Cooper Kupp, which would help the Saints in terms of their depth at wide receiver, but I don't know if it would really fix it or add what the Saints are missing. Let me know down in the comments if you think the Saints should sign Cooper Kupp. Make sure to like this video and subscribe to my channel. Help out a college student. We're trying to hit 10K this year, and 72% of you who watch these videos aren't subscribed. You could be watching and not even realize it. Double check, it's free. It helps me and the channel out a lot. So earlier today on Wednesday, the Rams officially released their franchise legend Cooper Kupp via Tom Pelissero. And now Cooper Kupp is officially a free agent, and he's open to sign with whatever team he feels like whenever he wants to. Now, prior to being released by the Rams, Cooper Kupp was also on the trade block for a little bit a few weeks ago. The Rams informed wide receiver Cooper Kupp that they will be working with him this offseason on a trade to find him a new team. His time in LA is set to end, and there's some more stuff that goes into it. But basically, the Rams were getting rid of him, and he was available for trade. Now he's a free agent after being cut. Despite being on the trade block, nobody made a move for obvious reasons for the wide receiver. Cooper Kupp had a $20 million cap hit from a contract he signed with the Rams a few years ago. It would have been hard to really give up compensation to trade for him, and on top of that pay him that amount of money when they could simply just wait until he was cut to sign him to a new contract for cheaper and not give up any compensation. The only benefit to trading for Cooper Kupp would have been, a guarantee that you get him and no other team can swoop in and sign him. But once you weigh out the pros and the cons, it is way better to just wait until he gets cut to make a move. Now, just because nobody traded for Cooper Kupp does not mean his market was not hot. Teams are interested in the former Offensive Player of the Year and Super Bowl MVP, who can still have quite a bit of production in the NFL. Ian Rappaport on the Insiders earlier today was talking about Cooper Kupp and his market, would he get signed, and he said wide receiver Cooper Kupp is now free and the market is hot for him. Here's the full clip.
This is kind of a weird situation because we've known for weeks that Cooper Kupp is available. No one's traded for him, which sort of creates the perception publicly that his market is kind of meh. I don't think it is. I think it's pretty strong. I don't think it's going to be $20 million a year. Otherwise,
I think just because teams didn't trade for him doesn't mean his market wasn't hot. I just think that cap number was crazy, and nobody wanted to give up draft picks for a guy who had a $20 million cap hit.
Somebody would have traded for him, but, if it's 11, 12, like Josh Palmer in free agency got, I believe it was 12, I could see Cooper Kupp in that range. You guys mentioned the Jaguars. Makes a ton of sense. Texans make a lot of sense, even though they traded for Christian Kirk. The Saints. What about the...
Right there, he mentions the Saints on top of some other teams that make a lot of sense to be interested in Cooper Kupp, the wide receiver.
Seahawks have some familiarity there, just scheme-wise, system-wise, and personnel-wise from the Rams. There's going to be a lot of teams available, and he is perfect, a potential final piece for a really good offense. Cooper Kupp is going to be in demand, and I would agree with you guys. I think it happens pretty fast.
He says it happens pretty fast. Hopefully it doesn't happen before this video gets posted. I don't know if he would want to come to the Saints. He may want to go to a team where he can go win games and have a better quarterback situation. But he did mention the Saints as a possible team that could be interested in him, when also naming the Texans, the Seahawks, and Jaguars as other possibilities who could be interested in his market. It makes sense why Ian Rappaport mentioned the Saints as a team who could be interested in Cooper Kupp. The Saints do need another wide receiver, and they have been needing another wide receiver for a while. Chris Olave is a really good player, and Rashid Shaheed is a good player as well. However, though, they don't have a physical pass catcher and a big-bodied guy to complement their playing style. Chris Olave is a great route runner, and Rashid Shaheed is a great deep downfield threat. But they don't have a guy who can complement and go over the middle and be the short to middle yards after the catch kind of guy. And that's really, I think, held back the talent and potential of Olave and even Rashid Shaheed. This has forced the Saints to put Chris Olave in this role when he is simply not a guy who should be running over the middle and taking hits. He should be a guy running curls and hitches and going deep as well. Kind of what we saw a little bit in the first few games of his rookie season when they had Michael Thomas. Chris Olave should be getting used like Jackson Smith-Njigba or Devonta Smith, But the issue is the Saints don't have DK Metcalf or AJ Brown, which forces Chris Olave to be in that role when he shouldn't be, and he's not built to be in that role either. Outside of Chris Olave and Rashid Shaheed, the Saints wide receiver room is very thin, as we saw last season. They're throwing passes to Dante Pettis, Kevin Austin Jr., and Mason Tipton as the starting receivers once those two guys mainly went out, and it was pretty bad. The top two guys in the receiver position group are very good, but after that it gets scary thin. Marquez Valdes-Scantling had a pretty nice role with the team once they signed him mid-season. I think, in my opinion, he's a good number 3 guy, but also he's just another type of Rashid Shaheed player. He doesn't fix things, but he's nice depth. But he is no longer an option for the Saints. Earlier today, Marquez Valdes-Scantling signed with the Seattle Seahawks on a 1-year deal for about $5.5 million, reuniting him with former Saints offensive coordinator Clint Kubiak. It makes sense why he would want to sign with the Seahawks, a familiar offensive coordinator, familiar system and scheme, and in Seattle, he's going to have probably a better role and more playing time there than he would have with the Saints. They just traded away DK Metcalf and cut Tyler Lockett. There really is nobody at that receiver group right now other than Jackson Smith-Njigba. He's getting more playing time there than he would have with the Saints. I'm kind of happy the Saints didn't match that offer, $5.5 million. I feel like they could have used that money towards something else. It sucks to lose him, and I think he would have been nice depth for the Saints to keep him. However, though, I don't think if they would have kept him, receiver doesn't still remain a position of need. Because while he is a bigger guy, I don't think he fits the big-bodied, physical, contested catch role. To me, he's just kind of like a tall Rashid Shaheed. The wide receiver position is one the team needs to address pretty badly. Not only just get some depth, but get a guy who complements the styles of Olave and Rashid Shaheed. Now, I'm not too sure whether or not that is Cooper Kupp. To me, he's more of a slot receiver, a quicker guy, a guy who is smaller. He can make some physical catches, but that's not his play style. But I do think that Cooper Kupp is a good yards after the catch, short yardage to medium yardage wide receiver, which is also something the Saints are missing. He has the same kind of moving the chains as Michael Thomas, like a short to medium yardage receiver, but their playing styles are different, which is why I don't think he would fit. But the short yardage yards after the catch thing is something the Saints are missing as well, which is something Cooper Kupp does pretty decently. And while I do think Cooper Kupp could be a nice addition for the New Orleans Saints, I still wouldn't feel great about the receiver room, and I would still want the team to go out and sign or draft a big physical bodied receiver, because I still don't think Cooper Kupp would fix anything other than adding some depth. On top of that, Ian Rappaport named $12 million as his possible market, and I just don't think the Saints are in a position right now to be paying $12 million to a guy like Cooper Kupp, who's 31 years old, has had some health problems over the past few seasons, and still would not fix the receiver room. And as for Cooper Kupp, does he want to even sign with the Saints? Does he want to play with Derek Carr? Does he like Kellen Moore? Does he get the playing time he wants with the Saints? And finally, does he want to sign with a contender, a winning team? The Saints may not be the team that he wants to sign with in general anyways. Something that is pretty interesting, though, is that Cooper Kupp's grandfather, I believe, Jake Kupp, did play for the New Orleans Saints, and today was his birthday, coincidentally. Maybe he grew up a Saints fan watching his grandfather play. He would want to sign with the Saints. But again, do the Saints pay him that $12 million? And if that is the number, I would stay away from him. When it comes to the cap, the Saints do have some cap space. They did some restructures with guys like Carl Granderson, Cesar Ruiz, Pete Warner. They did the typical stuff they usually do. And Cameron Jordan and Tyrann Mathieu did reworked contracts, basically taking some pay cuts to help out the team. Taysom Hill could possibly doing a pay cut as well pretty soon. So the Saints do have some money. Over the cap right now actually has the Saints at $17.4 million in cap space. I don't know how up to date this is after the Cam Jordan stuff, after the Justin Reed signing in the trade for Devon Godchow. But the Saints are in the green when it comes to cap space in 2025 right now. Even though the team may have the cap space to do it, I still do not believe the Saints should be investing money and resources into a 31-year-old Cooper Kupp. I'd much rather them just draft a receiver or sign a younger guy who fits the mold of what the team needs more. At this point, they're just kind of adding more smaller build guys to a group of smaller built receivers when they desperately need a big body guy. But if there's something I've learned, it's that just because the fans don't think they should do something doesn't mean they won't. So if Mickey Loomis and the Saints are going all in and they like Cooper Kupp, they're going to do it, even though it may not be what we think they should be doing. Now, I do believe it is very possible the Saints do end up drafting a receiver this year who fits the mold of what they're missing. Now, the guy I want them to draft is Teodoro McMillan, aka T-Mac, the receiver out of Arizona State. The dude is a freak. If he's there at pick 9 and he's the best player available, I would take him. Dude is super good. His route running and separation needs to be improved upon, but he would be the perfect complementary wide receiver to Chris Olave. They also met with Ole Miss wide receiver Trey Harris, who would also fit that kind of role, playing next to Rashid Shaheed and Chris Olave. Some other options in the draft would be Jaden Higgins and Alec Ayomanor, who the team could also look into. Something I find very interesting is that about a week ago, Spencer Rattler was in Arizona getting some work in with T-Mac and Alec Ayomanor, two guys coming into the draft. Two guys who fit the mold of what the Saints need, and two guys the Saints could possibly end up picking. It could mean nothing, it could mean something, but I find that pretty interesting. Rattler getting in some reps with some draft prospects. Some current available free agent wide receivers that the Saints could also look more into are Stephon Diggs, Keenan Allen, Amari Cooper, Brandon Cooks, Tyler Lockett, Noah Brown is somewhere around here. But it's slim pickings and there isn't a whole lot of available talent out there. I wouldn't be shocked though if Amari Cooper, Keenan Allen, or Noah Brown are guys who the Saints have interest in. They all have ties and have been coached and played for Kellen Moore. They could be guys the team is interested in, as well as Cooper Kupp. Of all those guys though, I'd be the most interested and I would be the most hopeful about the Saints signing Noah Brown. He's 6'2", 215. He's a bigger body guy. I don't think he fixes the room, but he is a body in there who could add some nice depth and also fit the mold of what they're missing. Now, apparently of these free agent wide receivers, one of these guys who has ties to the Saints, the team may be interested in bringing him back. Brandon Ertl posted this tweet and then posted a screenshot of it, but he said the Saints could make a run at bringing back wide receiver Brandon Cooks per Albert Breer, who covers the NFL. And down here, speaking of the Saints, I wouldn't be floored if they make a run at bringing Brandon Cooks back after all these years. Cooks can still run and would be a nice complementary piece to what New Orleans has in Chris Olave, Shaheed, and Alvin Kamara. I would have to disagree. I don't think Brandon Cooks would be a nice complementary piece. I think he'd be nice depth, but again, he would not fix the issues of a big-bodied receiver. He'd just be another speedy, smaller guy, and the Saints would still have to address the wide receiver position through the draft, in my opinion. If this was a depth move, sure, but again, I would much rather just stay away from Brandon Cooks the same way I would stay away from Cooper Kupp. The Saints may be interested in Cooper Kupp along with some other free agent wide receivers like Brandon Cooks, but it may be best if the team does not sign either of those two guys based on the money, the age, production, health, and their playing styles. They aren't bad players. To me, though, it's just not the right fit. Let me know down in the comments if you think the Saints should sign Cooper Kupp or should they go in a different direction. Make sure to like this video, subscribe to my channel, and I'll catch you next time. Have a good one. Peace.